Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Friday, March 29th, 2013. I'm Darko. This is part 4 for this news report today. So we left off with this article right here. We'll continue. World Bank ready to work closely with BRICS Bank. Describing the BRICS Development Bank as a significant undertaking, the World Bank has said it will stand ready and work closely with the new bank to end poverty through the developing world. So the BRICS are going to launch a development bank, a central bank. They keep calling it development bank. Maybe it's a central bank to create $100 billion US dollar fund for contingency reserve arrangement to tackle any emergency financial crisis in member states. So they want to get in the business of what the West is doing with these stealing money and all that, and quote, bailing it out. Or a usury system. There's so many different ways to put their scams. You had the World Bank's, was it Zolik, the World Bank head, saying, we need a new system. We need a new, international financial system, as they're, like I said, trying to sign these transatlantic partnership, combining European Union and North American Union economies and vice versa. And they're all doing this right now with these trade agreements right now. All the way to the Bank of BRICS. Economists who coined the term still confident in emerging economies. A BRIC bank could help foster even more trade between the countries involved, said Jim O'Neill, chairman of Goldman Sachs Asset Management. O'Neill, also known as Mr. BRICS, coined the acronym BRIC in 2001 to refer to the developing nations Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And then we have It Can Happen Here, the confiscation scheme planned for US and UK depositors. New Zealand has similar directives discussed in the last article, indicating that this isn't just an emergency measure for troubled Eurozone countries. New Zealand's Voxy reported on March 19th the national government is pushing a Cyprus-style solution to bank failure in New Zealand, which will see small depositors lose some of their savings to fund big bank bailouts. Open bank resolution is Finance Minister Bill English's favorite option dealing with major bank failure. If a bank fails under OBR, all depositors will have their savings reduced overnight to fund that bank's bailout. Obama's change, 1% get 81% income gains, then tax shelter $20 to $32 trillion. The bottom 90% lose their income. Pulitzer Prize-winning tax journalist David K. Johnson reports IRS tax data since Mr. Obama's 2009 inauguration shows change for the 90% of Americans. They lost income while the 1% increased income. The following pattern, this follows a pattern between 1980 and 2005. The 1% also took over 80% of all income gains. Obama's HHS secretary admits premiums will rise because of Obamacare. So rising premiums because of Obamacare. This is coming from the Human and Health Services. So while many in the real world have been warning about the increase of premiums that will result in the ironically named Affordable Care Act, basically written by the insurance companies, Kathleen Sebelius has finally admitted that costs will increase for consumers despite the denials of socialists in Congress and the socialists in the White House. Some people purchasing new insurance policies for themselves this fall could see premiums rise because of requirements in the healthcare law, she said. Told reporters on Tuesday. Also, you had one of the persons, a male, I believe, that was in charge of starting this whole thing up as it's getting ready to get on its feet, that he was very nervous about it and said that it's not going to work out all that well in the beginning. Right? Obama ignores again, like this is like the immigration. It's gonna actually be very proficient at what it's supposed to do, which is to help insurance companies deny care and all that, and create cartels and stuff, and coerce people, especially young people that don't want to have health insurance, have it. So Obama ignores nullification, says federal agents will enforce Obamacare. So it says here, I love this opening statement. In a war that is reminiscent of the tyrannical actions of Abraham Lincoln that led to the War of Northern Aggression, Barack Obama says that he will not wait on the states to enforce Obamacare. Instead, his regime has announced its intent to completely disregard the states' 10th Amendment's right to nullification of Obamacare law via their past legislation and state constitutions. In fact, his administration has said that in states where they refuse to comply with federal health care mandates, that agents from the Department of Health and Human Services will assume absolute control over the state's health insurance industry. this is what Politico reported. Insurance regulation is a huge responsibility that's been closely guarded by the states. That's why the Obama government or administration or regime and those closely watching the rollout of Obamacare, the people that wrote the bill probably and put them in office, believe that even states that have sworn off the law's coverage expansions will still enforce its new measures, including new benefit mandates, cost-sharing guidelines. So, okay, next up we have companies cut hours of full-time employees to avoid providing health care under new roles. So this is exactly what we were talking about. People are going to cut their full-time workers to part-time. Sounds nice and everything, right? It says here that labor groups warn of some big firms are cutting workers' full-time hours to avoid paying health care for those who need it most. So, but what did I say? This Obamacare could actually be referred to as the unemployment care, where they're going to have all these people that are going to be losing full-time work, and then they're going to have to hire more workers. So that's going to reduce the unemployment rate. Did I like that? 40-plus officers and ATF agents raid home of YouTube gun personality FPSRussia. He is one of the well-known channels on YouTube. The Georgia native speaks with a Russian accent, demonstrates some of his, basically entertaining weapons of the planet. He says basically Meyer's business partner was found murdered in his office back in January. So the county sheriff in Franklin said they would not say whose properties were searched and if anything was found, but he confirmed that the searches were in connection with the investigation into Ratliff's death in January. They said it was a search for illegal explosives. So this is interesting. This guy, what does this say? He's got a 60-acre farm. They were conducting an investigation into explosives on YouTube. They were blowing up cars and things in Hart County on their farm. Agents were looking for explosives or anything connected to explosives that would have put them in violation of federal law. So, suspected cop shooter killed in Fury gun battle. So there's a 20-hour standoff between police and this Hoquiam and a man who wounded an officer trying to arrest him on a warrant ended Thursday when the suspect died in a gun battle with a SWAT team as his house went up in flames. So not really sure what happened. As I said, there's something about an insurance scam, but he said he had no idea why the guy would take it to such extreme level. Well, if the guy sees your authority over him as illegitimate, then your warrant is just a piece of paper that he could wipe his ass with. So maybe that's what it was. So he engaged in a firefight with officers on the scene, and it's pretty interesting too. But it says here that they actually threw in some tear gas during the standoff. So he failed to obey commands when he was confronted by the tactical SWAT team. So it says here that throughout the night, police fired tear gas into the house and used some loud distraction devices. That's the LRAD probably. Firefighters entered the house as soon as it was safe, but the flames burned through the roof. The video showed the home fully engulfed. It's now it's unknown how the fire started. Well, let me guess. Waco? Tear gas? Cops raid wrong house. Threatened. So the only reason I'm covering this is because this keeps happening. You keep seeing these militarized police and SWAT teams and sheriffs with these tan desert-colored jumpsuits and flak jackets and thigh holsters and all kinds of crap, and they just go in there and they just shoot people. I mean, they just snipe them out. I mean, the one guy I was just covering just sniped him right in the house and stuff like that. So this is the new justice system. They just shoot on sight, no questions, no judicial process. They're telling people something here. This is a message. Like the whole cake thing. Back in the day, there'd be a day where you just did it. You don't questions asked. You maintain your privacy when you're conducting business, and it's just like this. No matter how heinous the perpetrator, the perp as they call it, crime, whatever he's being suspected of, he still has a right to a trial, right? Because then we're no worse than all these other demagogues and evil entities that we accuse other people in other countries of being. Cops raid wrong house, threaten children, and kill their dog. So, in your friendly town of Chicago, 6 children are going to remember this night as one of their most traumatizing experiences. The 11 and 13-year-old were rehearsing songs for the church choir with their grandmother, Charlene Holly, when 8 armed officers burst through the door and started aiming guns at them, yelling to get on the ground, right? So one of the cops even asked Charlene to show the 11-month-old's hands to get to them at gunpoint. So So it goes on here and it says that after the raid, they found the family dog dead, Samson, in the upstairs laundry room where he was presumably dragged to with a dog pole by one of the officers. Anger over an unannounced police drill. So it says here, oh yeah, and they try to justify it by saying, oh, well, it's scheduled to be demolished, so we just wanted to do a little training procedure. I remember the last time they did this, and the people were still in there, and actually the woman was covering her child, sheltering her, and they had to go to the bathroom. They literally peed all over the floor, not because they were scared, because they couldn't move, you know. And they just completely shot up her house and her apartment. So it says here, the police confined her to an apartment. There's Chelsea Morales. The police said threatened to arrest him for trespassing as he tried to get in his home. So on Thursday, what happened during a police training exercise was unacceptable, says residents and community advocates. The SWAT team conducted a hostage rescue drill in a vacant apartment at the housing complex just a few yards away from occupied homes. Residents heard gunfire, flash grenades, breaking glass. They had no idea it was a training exercise. Said it looked like a small military operation complete with fatigues and full gear. Well, yeah. Said her 4-year-old is still shaken up. Children should not be exposed to that, not on television, not on radio, and definitely not in real life. Well, that's why they do it, to simulate real, active, live events. That they'll admit that. These douchebags will actually admit that they want to scare the living shit out of people by not announcing it. Another twist of events here. Navy SEAL killed during Arizona parachute training. I mean, how often does this stuff happen? And this just happens after what? After these Marines were killed. Earlier this month, a military training accident in Nevada killed 7 Marines when a mortar exploded inside the tube. Another SEAL was injured in a routine military free-fall jump in Arizona. Again, these are both Army depots, Army bases. Navy SEALs and media dispute over who shot bin Laden. So who shot bin Laden? Well, there's many people that say that reports out speculation that Osama bin Laden's been dead since like, what, 2000, 2001 or something like that. So he is a boogeyman. He was a CIA asset that was taken out. Pakistanis in that village said that he wasn't even living there. So he could have just been Osama's body double that they took out. But they're all bickering about who actually shot him. Well, we remember the whole SEAL team, well, not the whole team, but SEAL Team 6 unit that killed Osama bin Laden died in a helicopter crash. Yeah, go figure. Judge in Sarkozy probe receives bullet by mail. So pretty interesting as well. The judge who charged former President Nicolas Sarkozy with taking financial advantage of France's richest woman has received a bullet and a death threat in a post. Fire guts home of Newtown Sandy Hook survivors. Again, this is pretty interesting because what? Sandy Hook conspiracy theorists need their guns taken away. Why? Because they said that the man that supposedly found 6 little children in the bus driver and saved him, they say that it never happened, that the whole thing never happened. So it's kind of ironic that their house now would burn down and nobody was in there except for their dog. So a Newtown home destroyed by a fire this week was owned by a couple whose children survived the December Sandy Hook's elementary school shootings. They reported Wednesday afternoon after their 3 children homeless. That's what it left them, I guess. So the cause of the fire is under investigation. I'm sure it will be. And if you think this is believable, we'll see. Newtown gunmen spent more than 150 rounds, killed victims within 5 minutes. So you got these lone nuts that aren't capable or intelligent of doing anything, that are able to just kill all these people within 5 minutes, as their guns are reported to jam every time. In less than 5 minutes, killed 26 people. But what's even more unbelievable is he had a loaded shotgun that was found in his glove compartment to his Honda Civic. So I don't know. You do the physics, you do the math. I don't know. But what I do know, or at least feel, is that you know, this is some kind of program for basically these neuro zombies, high on some kind of special chemical drugs, kind of like the Bourne Legacy and that, and not super soldiers, but just, you know, almost like they're patsies. But who knows if they're actually carrying these things out. There's usually reports of second shooters, but they walk free. No reports of that afterwards. The blame is put on these people. But I'm going to leave it off there. This is GGN and on Darko. Please join me in part 5. Thank you.